Chosen ones, God is giving you a choice tonight, and it is not just a decision between right and wrong, between light and dark, between staying the same or stepping into something greater. No, this choice is a divine invitation, a sacred intersection where destiny and free will collide. You felt it building, in your thoughts, in your spirit, in the signs that keep repeating in your life. Tonight is not just another night. This is a divine moment, and heaven is watching how you move, not with judgment, but with expectancy. Something sacred is unfolding, and it begins with you choosing who you are willing to become. Before we begin, I urge you to stay with me until the very end of this message. There is something here that your soul needs to hear, not just with your ears, but with the deepest part of your heart. And when this message speaks to you, not if, but when, I ask you to share your warmest wishes in the comments along with 77, a sacred number of alignment, spiritual power, and universal activation. For this is not just a video, it is a spiritual mirror, reflecting back the power you carry within. And yes, the desires you've hidden, the dreams you thought were too far gone. This is the hour when heaven begins moving pieces for their return. Wishes are not weak whispers. They are spiritual commands, and they respond to belief, timing, and energy. You're not hoping anymore, you're becoming. Now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive deeper. But let us now turn fully to the divine decision in front of you. The path is not forced upon you. God does not control, He calls, He whispers, He stirs your soul until the ache becomes undeniable. That ache in you, that discomfort, that pull to change something in your life, your thoughts, your surroundings, that is not coincidence. That is your soul being summoned. And tonight, that call is louder than it's ever been. You are standing at the threshold of something massive, and you must decide. You must choose whether you will stay in the familiar cage of comfort or whether you will risk everything for the unknown greatness of your becoming. You have been tested long enough. The wilderness you walked through wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The loneliness, the confusion, the nights you felt unseen, they were spiritual training grounds. And now, God is placing the key in your hand. But keys don't open doors unless you choose to use them. Tonight, your power isn't in wishing, it's in choosing. You don't need to know the full map. You only need to say yes to the next right door. God is not asking for perfection. He is asking for participation. This is not a message for the masses. This is a sacred whisper to the few, to the ones who have endured silently, to the ones who have stayed kind while being tested, to the ones who still believe even after everything. You are being given a divine moment of clarity, not just to receive, but to respond. Every great shift begins with a moment like this, a night that feels like any other, until your soul decides it will never be the same again. And tonight, your soul knows. You are not who you used to be, and the old you cannot carry the destiny written for the new you. Do not ask whether you are ready. You wouldn't be offered this choice if you weren't. Do not look back at your failures and let them tell you who you are. They were not your identity. They were your initiation. Every hardship you faced was shaping the muscles of your spirit for the weight of what's coming. You are being upgraded, realigned, called into your final form. And the most powerful thing you can do is choose. Not wait, not wonder, not hesitate, but choose. You already know what this choice is about. It may not be logical, but your soul recognizes it. It's the relationship you've outgrown, but stayed in. It's the career that pays your bills, but starves your spirit. It's the environment that keeps your mind small when your vision is massive. It's the silence you keep when your voice was made to shift atmospheres. And tonight, the question is this: will you let comfort rob you of your crown? God does not beg. He knocks. He offers. And when the soul is aligned, it answers. You've been hearing that knock. You've felt that inner urgency. And yet something keeps you anchored in the known. But you must know, your comfort zone is not safe. It is simply familiar. And if you do not choose differently tonight, life will not wait forever. Grace is endless, but windows of transformation are not. They open and they close. And when God gives you the choice, it's because the window is open now. Fear will tell you to wait. Ego will tell you to justify. Logic will give you 100 reasons to stay the same. But truth whispers, this is your time. You don't need permission from anyone. You don't need applause. You don't need understanding. What you need is obedience to your spirit's knowing. That still, small voice has never led you wrong. And tonight, it is roaring like a lion. Choose boldly. Choose with faith. Choose because you know what your soul has been crying for, and you are finally ready to answer it. Everything you want is on the other side of this choice. But not just things. Alignment, peace, power. That feeling of finally breathing fully because you are living your truth and not your fear. Some of you are one brave decision away from your destiny catching fire, and some of you are already halfway there. But tonight is the night to go all in. No more half steps. No more second guessing. No more trying to fit where you no longer belong. You are not here to blend in. You are here to break open new paths. Yes, this message is personal. It's being written for you, for your very moment of awakening, for your moment of choice. God is not asking you to understand everything. He is asking you to trust Him enough to move. And if you do, you will look back at this night not as a memory, but as the beginning of everything. The night you chose wisely. The night you finally said yes to who you truly are. There are nights that look ordinary on the outside, but hold the weight of entire lifetimes within them. This is one of those nights. Everything that brought you here, the delays, the denials, the detours, has been leading you toward a moment of alignment where God says, now. And the truth is, you've known this moment was coming. That quiet pressure in your chest, the restlessness you couldn't explain, the sudden clarity about things you used to tolerate, none of that was random. It was spiritual preparation for this exact choice. You were never meant to live a small life. That's why the old patterns started breaking. That's why the things you used to enjoy no longer feel fulfilling. You are being transformed, and transformation never asks for permission. It breaks through. It disrupts comfort. It challenges logic, and it stretches everything you thought you knew about who you are. If you feel like you're being pulled apart, good. That means something new is being born from you, and it will only come alive if you choose to let go of who you no longer are. The divine choice being given to you isn't simply about taking action. It's about alignment. It's about deciding to no longer betray your own knowing just to keep others comfortable. It's about choosing to no longer delay what you feel called to do. Some of you have had visions, dreams, ideas that you've buried because they didn't make sense, or because people wouldn't understand. But understand this: if God gave it to you, it wasn't meant for them to understand. It was meant for you to obey. The vision is not the test. Your response to it is. There's a war happening in many of you right now between the voice of doubt and the voice of destiny. Doubt is loud. It screams in familiar words. You're not ready. You're not enough. You'll fail. But destiny speaks with clarity. It whispers, you've already been prepared. This is the reason for your pain. Now is the time. The question is, which voice are you feeding? Because whichever one you listen to will become the author of your future. Tonight, you choose your narrator. Tonight, you choose your outcome. It's easy to look back and wish you had chosen differently in the past. But regret is not the point. God doesn't live in regret, He lives in redemption. And He's not asking you to fix your past. He's asking you to trust Him with your future. Whatever time you think you've lost, He knows how to restore. Whatever doors you think you've missed, He knows how to rebuild. But He cannot move through indecision. Grace surrounds you, yes. But movement begins with your choice. Tonight is the doorway. You step through it, or you stay behind. You may be tempted to wait for a sign, a voice, a push. But this is your sign. This is the voice. And the push is already inside you. You don't need confirmation from the outside when your inner world is already lit with fire. Do you feel it? That heat in your spirit, that sudden sharpness in your focus, that pull in your chest as these words reach you. That is God stirring the embers of your purpose, and He will keep stirring until you either run from it or rise into it. There is no middle ground anymore. The choice has come, and the window is now. You don't need more time. You've already had the seasons of waiting, learning, and healing. And yes, those seasons were needed. But there comes a time when you must stand, even if your knees shake. You must speak, even if your voice trembles. You must leap, even if the ground ahead looks invisible. God rewards motion, not perfection. So do not let your desire to do it perfectly stop you from doing it powerfully. It doesn't have to make sense to others. It only needs to make peace with your spirit. And tonight, that peace is calling you forward. There are relationships that will not survive the version of you that is awakening. There are environments that will no longer be able to contain the light you carry. And yes, choosing your higher path will feel like losing parts of your old life. But you must remember, you are not here to preserve what is dying. You are here to awaken what is divine. And sometimes that means leaving behind the comfort of understanding for the discomfort of expansion. If something breaks as you choose, let it. If someone walks away, bless them. Your next season cannot begin while you're still apologizing for your growth. Too often we ask, what will I lose if I make this choice? But the better question is, what will I lose if I don't? Because choosing safety may cost you your calling. Choosing delay may cost you the miracle that was already in motion. Choosing silence may cost you the voice that could have set others free. This is not the time to hesitate. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to rise, not because you feel ready, but because you've been chosen. And chosen ones don't wait for certainty. They walk by faith. Chosen ones don't avoid pressure. They become diamonds under it. Chosen ones don't explain their fire. They let it burn and light the way for others. That's you. You didn't survive all you've survived just to play small now. You didn't overcome what should have broken you just to be quiet now. There is purpose in your voice, fire in your steps, and eternity in your decision. You are not just making a choice tonight. You are shifting timelines. You are unlocking futures. You are stepping into the prophecy that has been waiting for you to say, Yes. So breathe, not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. Breathe and remember who you are. Breathe and let the fear pass through you like wind. You are not meant to be afraid. You are meant to be fierce, faithful, and focused. And tonight, God is giving you a sacred opportunity. Don't waste it hoping for better timing. This is the timing. This is the miracle in motion. And it is responding to the power of your decision. You've been sensing the shift. It's not subtle anymore. The air around you feels heavier, not with despair, but with divine importance. And though the world keeps spinning like everything is normal, your spirit knows. This moment is different. This night is different. It's not about deciding between two ordinary paths. It's about aligning with your divine destiny or falling into the sleep of delay. There is no neutral anymore. God has drawn a line in the unseen, and the choice placed before you is not a small one. It will shape years. There's a reason your soul feels restless. It is not anxiety, it is activation. You are being called to higher ground, to a dimension of life where clarity replaces confusion, where power replaces passivity, and where truth silences the noise of fear. This higher version of you, the one you've seen in flashes, in dreams, in your most honest prayers, is no longer a fantasy. That version is knocking. But here's the truth no one wants to say. That version can't be accessed from the safety of who you've been. It must be chosen, and choosing it costs everything that's been keeping you small. Sometimes, the cost of becoming who you're meant to be is losing who you were taught to be. You were raised in expectations, conditioned by survival, and trained to think within limits that were never yours to begin with. But tonight, something ancient inside you is awakening. A remembrance of your purpose, a reactivation of your original design. You are not random, you are not late, you are not lost. You are exactly where the divine placed you for the choice that will shift your lineage forward. This isn't just about you. It never was. It's about every soul that will be freed because you said yes. Yes to the fire. Yes to the unknown. Yes to the call that won't let you go. The voice of doubt will always offer you a way out. Maybe later. Maybe next month. Let me just fix this first. But those are not delays. They are disguises. And the enemy of your purpose doesn't have to destroy you if it can just convince you to wait. But you're waking up. You're seeing it clearly now. Waiting isn't wisdom when you've already been told to move. There is a time for silence. But this is not that time. This is the time to walk, to speak, to step, to choose. And yes, the choice is risky. It will ask more of you than you think you can give. It will require you to release the illusion of control and trust something greater. But chosen ones are not asked to be perfect. They're asked to be willing to be misunderstood, willing to feel exposed, willing to burn the old maps because they no longer lead to the new place. And when you take that step, even if everything around you trembles, heaven stands still in awe. There are moments in life when God doesn't just bless you, He tests you, not to break you, but to prove to you what He already knows, that you are ready, that you are more than the mistakes you've made, that you are greater than the fear that's hunted you, that you are the answer someone else has been praying for. And to release that answer into the world, you must first release your grip on what no longer serves you. The people, the places, the plans. If they are not growing you, they are slowing you. Choose wisely. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are not trapped. You are standing at the edge of transformation, and all of heaven is holding its breath to see what you will do, not because they doubt you, but because they know how monumental this moment is. Do you see how far you've come? Do you understand how many things tried to stop you? And still, you're here, you're breathing, you're awakening, you're remembering. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation. So don't let old wounds make new decisions. Don't let your past define what is possible. God did not bring you through the storms just so you could camp in the valley. He brought you through so you could stand on the mountain. But the mountain demands courage. It demands trust. It demands the kind of faith that walks forward when the path is hidden and the light is dim. Because you weren't made to see the whole road. You were made to move when the next step lights up. And tonight, it is lit. The fear will not leave before you move. That's the truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the defiance of it. And that's what this moment requires. Holy defiance. A bold rejection of the lie that you're not ready. A sacred rebellion against the belief that you're too late. You are right on time for the miracle. But miracles are motion activated. They wait for your yes. They respond to your risk. They unfold when you dare to become the version of yourself God already sees. There is greatness in you that hasn't been touched yet. There is a sound in your voice the world hasn't heard yet. There is a fire in your spirit that will melt limitations and set captives free. But it only comes alive when you do. You don't need to be convinced anymore. You already know. You feel it in your bones. You hear it in the silence. You see it in the signs. You've been called, chosen, and charged. Not just to exist, but to expand. Not just to speak, but to shift. Not just to live, but to awaken. An awakening isn't soft. It shakes everything. It ruins comfort. It demands truth. But that's what you came for. You didn't come here to be normal. You came here to be new. And that newness has a price. The death of who you used to be. That's why it hurts. That's why it's messy. But if you can walk through the fire of decision, you'll rise on the other side as everything you were always meant to be. You are being offered a divine exchange. Fear for faith, silence for power, hesitation for purpose. And what you choose tonight will ripple for generations. It's that serious. It's that sacred. So breathe deep, chosen one. Get still. And when you feel the pull, follow it. Don't overthink. Don't delay. Just move. Because the moment you say yes, everything begins to align. Doors open, chains break, time bends, and heaven rejoices. This is not just another night. This is the night. You may not realize it yet, but your entire journey up to this point has been leading you to tonight. Every detour, every heartbreak, every delay, they were not distractions. They were divine preparations. You were being shaped in silence, built in the dark, refined in fire. Not to survive, but to lead. Not to blend in, but to awaken. The weight you've carried wasn't a punishment. It was proof that God trusted you to hold more than most. He placed something inside you that this world needs. And now, finally, it's your time to release it. But before release, there is always a reckoning with the truth of what no longer fits, with the identities you wore to be accepted, with the roles you played to avoid rejection, with the voices that echoed for so long they felt like your own. Tonight, the voice of God is louder. It's cutting through the noise, through the fear, through the excuses, and it's asking you the question that changes everything. Will you choose me over what's familiar? Because comfort is a cage. It looks safe, but it steals your wings. And while others settle for the cage, you were born to soar. You were never meant to live a life that made sense to the world. You were meant to live a life that glorifies the divine, a life so powerful, so luminous, that people who come near you are forced to confront their own purpose. But that life doesn't come by accident. It comes by decision, by choosing what few dare to choose: obedience over ease, truth over tradition, alignment over approval. And yes, people will talk. They always do when someone breaks the mold. They'll question your choices, misunderstand your motives, and try to reduce your calling to something they can comprehend. Let them. You don't owe your purpose an explanation. You owe it your loyalty. The more you rise, the less they'll recognize you. But don't shrink to stay familiar. God isn't calling the old version of you forward. He's calling the real you, the hidden one, the brave one, the sacred one that's been quietly waiting for this very hour. You have stood at this crossroad before, haven't you? The place where everything inside says, go, but everything around says, wait. You've known what you needed to do, but the fear of losing what's known kept you anchored in place. Not anymore. The time for delay is over. The cost of staying the same has become too great. You're not losing peace. You're being pulled by purpose. You're not falling apart. You're shedding what can't go with you. This is not chaos. This is calling. And it's louder now than ever. Because tonight, the portal is open. The divine is near. The decision you make won't just affect the rest of your life, it will echo in eternity. That's why everything feels so intense. That's why your emotions are stirred, your memories triggered, your spirit on edge. You are standing in the thin space between the past and the possible, and the heavens are holding out their hand. All you have to do is say yes. But let's be honest, saying yes isn't glamorous. It doesn't come with applause. Sometimes it comes with silence, with solitude, with seasons of obscurity where no one sees what you're carrying. But chosen ones aren't moved by visibility. They're moved by vision. They know what they saw in the secret place. They remember what God whispered when no one else was listening. And they keep walking, not because it's easy, but because it's holy. So don't look for confirmation from people who were never assigned to understand your calling. Don't seek validation from voices that don't hear what you hear. God is speaking directly to you. This choice isn't up for public opinion. It's a sacred transaction between your soul and the one who made it. And the more sacred the decision, the more private it may feel. But even when it's quiet, heaven is watching. And every step you take in faith becomes a declaration in the Spirit. I trust you more than I trust my comfort. And that is the essence of this night. Trust. Not logic, not guarantees, not evidence. Just trust. The kind of trust that makes angels stand in awe. The kind that makes hell tremble. The kind that shifts timelines and reorders reality. That's what you're being invited into. Not a better version of the old life, but a completely new blueprint. One written by the hands of the Almighty, sealed with destiny, and revealed only to those brave enough to say yes without knowing the outcome. Because that's the secret. You don't need to know how it all unfolds. You just need to know who is calling. If He brought you here, He already mapped the way forward. He already arranged the provision. He already cleared the obstacles. But He won't move until you do. God honors motion. He responds to surrender. And in this sacred moment, He's waiting for yours. The beauty of divine choice is that it always leads to divine covering. You won't walk alone. You won't face the storm without shelter. You won't make the leap and find nothing waiting. Every yes is met with grace. Every surrender is met with supernatural support. That's the promise for those who choose Him fully. You may lose some things along the way, but you'll gain everything that matters. So this is your invitation. Not from me, but from the one who formed you before time. He's not asking you to figure it all out. He's asking you to choose, to trust, to step. And once you do, you'll see what has been waiting for you on the other side of hesitation. Favor, peace, alignment, acceleration, not because you earned it, but because you chose it. The threshold you're standing on isn't ordinary. It is sacred. It's not just another moment. It is the moment. The kind of moment that separates lifetimes. The kind of moment that generations feel, even if they can't explain why. The kind of moment heaven writes about before it ever touches earth. This is the breath before a breakthrough. The silence before a supernatural shift. And whether you feel it or not, something eternal is unfolding around you. And still, you are not forced. That's the mystery and beauty of divine love. Even when God is offering you everything, He still lets you choose. He does not impose destiny. He invites you into it, because real love never manipulates. Real power doesn't need to control. And you, chosen one, are not being dragged forward. You are being called upward, with dignity, with honor, with a choice. But the weight of that choice cannot be underestimated, because it doesn't just affect you. You are a hinge in the family line, a turning point in the spiritual timeline. What you decide tonight will ripple into the lives of others. Some you know, some you'll never meet. There are battles you will break because you chose correctly. There are blessings others will receive because you said yes. And there are chains that will never return because you decided to finally walk free. Freedom isn't a feeling, it's a decision. It's the decision to no longer be loyal to what tried to destroy you. The decision to stop agreeing with the lie that you're not ready, not worthy, not enough. The decision to release what has expired, even if it once felt like everything. That's what's in front of you right now. The end of the old and the gateway into the sacred. But gateways require guardianship. You can't carry just anything through. You cannot step forward still tangled in what you were never meant to hold. That's why the pressure feels so intense. Because what you are choosing against is clinging hard. Old habits don't leave quietly. Old identities will scream for recognition. But you don't have to listen. You've outgrown those echoes. You've evolved past that version of yourself. You're no longer the wounded one looking for approval. You're no longer the tired soul settling for less than what was promised. You are the chosen one. You are the awakened one. You are the one who came through what was meant to take you out. Not just to survive it, but to reign beyond it. And now it's time to reign. But reigning requires a new posture. One of spiritual maturity, emotional clarity, and unwavering faith. The old mindset won't support the new mission. The old ways of coping won't sustain the new weight of glory. You must renew your mind, shift your stance, and speak only what aligns with what God is doing, not what fear is suggesting. Because every time you speak in alignment with fear, you give it power. But every time you declare truth, even when your voice shakes, heaven moves on your behalf. So speak truth now. I choose alignment over approval. I choose destiny over delay. I choose God's will, even when I don't understand the path. Let those words anchor you as you move forward. Let them become your compass in the fog. Because the more important the decision, the more distractions will rise up to confuse you. The enemy doesn't fear your past. He fears your choice. Your next decision terrifies the darkness. That's why the attacks intensified. That's why the anxiety flared. That's why old emotions tried to resurrect. Because hell saw what heaven is building, and it panicked. But hell is too late. Because you've seen too much to go back. You've tasted too much truth to believe lies again. You've endured too much pain to waste it on another round of almost. You've come too far, walked too deep, carried too much. And now you're being called higher, into clarity, into confidence, into the kind of obedience that breaks open impossible doors. There is something sacred waiting on the other side of your yes, the version of you that is fully aligned with heaven's assignment, the version of you that doesn't shrink to be accepted, the version of you that trusts even when no one claps, the version of you that is bold, radiant, and relentless in divine purpose. But to become that version, the old self must be laid down, not hated, not shamed, just honored, thanked, and released. Because the season she carried you through is complete. Now it's time for rebirth, for redefinition, for resurrection. And just as surely as God raised you from the shadows before, He's about to raise you again, not just for your sake, but for every life attached to yours. You may not see it yet, but there are people waiting for your yes, people you haven't met, doors you haven't knocked on, territories you haven't claimed, generations you haven't imagined. They're waiting for the moment you decide that comfort is no longer your idol. They're waiting for the sound of your footsteps toward destiny. They're waiting for you to finally choose. Not the easy way, not the safe way, but the sacred way. So here you are, not by accident, not by chance, not because you stumbled into this, but because something inside you was always drawn to this very moment. You were always meant to face this decision. You were always meant to feel this fire. You were always meant to choose God when the world said it was too late, too risky, too strange. You were always meant to rise. And now it begins. You've come all this way, chosen one. You've heard the calling. You've felt the stir. You've been shown what's possible. And now all that remains is this. What will you do with the choice in front of you? This isn't about deciding between right or wrong in some shallow surface way. This is about the eternal, about alignment, about courage, about surrender. This is about saying yes to the version of you God already sees, the one who already made it, the one who already healed, the one who already stepped into divine fullness. This is about finally becoming that version in the present moment, instead of postponing your breakthrough with hesitation and fear. It will never feel like the perfect time. You will never have all the proof your doubt demands. You will not get a second-by-second guarantee. That's not how real purpose works. Heaven doesn't give blueprints. It gives whispers. It gives confirmation in faith, not comfort. And if you keep waiting for it to be easy, you'll delay what was already meant to be yours. Tonight is about trust. Not trust in circumstances, not trust in your past, not trust in your plans, but trust in God's timing, in His intention, in His instruction. The world will tell you to trust what you can see. Heaven will ask you to trust what you feel deep in your spirit when everything else is quiet. And if you're honest, you already know what this is. You already know what's being asked of you. You already know what this choice is about. It's not random that your soul feels the weight of this night. It's not random that your chest tightens every time you consider walking away from what no longer serves you. It's not random that your dreams have intensified, that you've been seeing signs, that conversations seem to keep circling back to the same themes: change, release, newness, risk, destiny. That's not coincidence. That's not imagination. That's the divine pressing on your heart, knocking on your gates, and whispering, "Now." Because the door doesn't stay open forever. That's what most people don't understand. Grace is abundant, yes. Mercy is overflowing, yes. But windows of alignment, moments when the heavens and earth agree on your next step, are rare and sacred. If you miss them, you won't be punished, but you might delay the promise. You might detour into seasons of confusion that could have been avoided. You might wonder when you were meant to build. So this is not a threat. This is not fear. This is urgency born from love. God isn't trying to scare you. He's trying to awaken you. Because He knows what's coming. He sees what's ahead. And He knows that if you choose correctly tonight, the foundation will be set for the rest of your life. Yes, it's that big. But the enemy wants you numb, distracted, doubtful. He wants you scrolling through other people's choices instead of owning your own. He wants you addicted to procrastination, paralyzed by indecision. He wants you to confuse uncertainty with powerlessness. But you are not powerless. You are chosen. You are called. You are equipped. You are standing at the edge of something extraordinary. And all that's needed now is your yes. Yes to letting go. Yes to stepping out. Yes to going even when it feels uncomfortable. Yes to losing what's not meant for you, even when it breaks your heart. Yes to standing out, even if no one claps. Yes to the unknown, if it's where God is leading. This is your burning bush moment, your Red Sea moment, your Garden of Gethsemane moment. This is when heaven leans in and watches, not to judge, but to witness whether you trust the divine spark placed inside you. Whether you'll shrink or whether you'll step. Step into the version of you who's no longer ruled by fear. Step into the season where supernatural favor flows like never before. Step into the clarity that's been waiting for your commitment. Step into the life that's been calling your name while you were afraid to answer. There's no more time to negotiate with hesitation. There's no more space to keep entertaining almosts and maybes. There's no more room in your future for fragments of the past. So take a breath, stand tall, and make your choice. Not with fear, but with faith. Not with anxiety, but with authority. Not as the old you, but as the version of you God has been patiently waiting for. Because the second you choose alignment, heaven moves. The second you choose obedience, chains fall. The second you say yes, truly yes, to what's next, something ancient and holy ignites in your life. Doors you didn't knock on will open. Opportunities you didn't chase will find you. Peace that surpasses understanding will anchor you. And you'll realize, in that moment, that you didn't lose anything by letting go. You unlocked everything. This is it. This is the moment. This is the choice. So go now. Not someday, tonight. Because God is giving you a choice. And this time, choose wisely.